on Thursday afternoon. Government in southwest China has announced a police investigation into a clash between villagers and workers on a construction site that killed 8 and injured 18. The incident occurred on Tuesday in Kunming's Jincheng village, where there had been tension brewing between a construction company and farmers dissatisfied with the compensation they got for their farmland. According to police, on the day, villagers abducted 8 construction workers and beat them. Other construction workers soon arrived, and a fight ensued between both parties. Both sides were armed with knives, stones, and homemade petrol bombs. 6 of the abducted construction workers and 2 villagers were killed in the fight. Li Qiang is on an official visit. The premier is said to attend the 2-day Asia-Europe summit meeting in Milan. Leaders from across Asia and Europe are at the biennial meeting to discuss closer Asia-Europe connectivity, practical cooperation, and coordination on global issues. Before the summit, Premier Li announced a donation of $50 million to the UN Food and Agricultural Organization to help combat global hunger. And he also had discussions with EU leaders over bilateral cooperation. And Jing Qiao has a top story.
Laying a foundation for international cooperation against global hunger. On the second day of his visit to Italy, Chinese Premier Li Keqiang announced a donation of $50 million to the UN Food and Agriculture Organization during a speech at its Rome headquarters. The fund aims to support South-South cooperation to improve world food security and promote agricultural development over the next 5 years. On the eve of World Food Day, Premier Li said tackling the silent crisis of hunger and poverty is a major challenge and common responsibility. He urged more help for least developed countries.
Countries
around the world should join hands to enhance cooperation and pay greater attention to the cause of the developing countries, especially the least developed countries. Efforts should be made to curb trade protectionism and increase technical and financial support to their agricultural sectors.
In his speech, Li said China is willing to share its technologies and expertise without reservation, noting that China has lifted nearly 140 million people out of chronic hunger since 1990. FAO Director General Jose Gatriano da Silva praised the Chinese government's role in improving food security. Premier Li left Rome for Milan later in the day to attend the 10th Asia-Europe Summit. Ahead of the summit, Premier Li met with President of the European Council Herman Van Rompuy and European Commission President José Manuel Barroso. The 3 leaders agreed to speed up negotiations over an investment treaty. With the 40th anniversary of the setting up diplomatic ties between the EU and China next year, the visiting premier pledged that China is willing to work with the EU to explore new prospects in the development of bilateral ties. Van Rompuy and Barroso expressed appreciation for China's faith in and the support for EU and the euro, saying that the EU will continue to uphold a friendly policy toward China. All 3 leaders are attending the 2-day Asia-Europe meeting. Italy is the last stop of Premier Li's 3-nation European tour, which has taken him to Germany and Russia. Jing Qiao, CCTV.